Hello and welcome to our next video in the Medicine in Britain series. This time we are going to look at the first case study in the medicine course, the Black Death. We will explore the overview, the suspected causes, the treatments and preventative measures. In 1348 the Black Death reached England. It has arrived aboard ships from trade routes with the Far East. It wasn't referred to as the Black Death until the Victorian period, but despite this, the Black Death caused suffering for all who caught it. We shall start with the factual detail, and then dive into the beliefs of the people at the time. The Black Death is a form of bubonic plague carried by fleas which lived on rats. Today it still exists, but is treated with antibiotics. Back in 1348, once a person caught the plague, they normally died within 5 days. Some sources show us that 200 people a day were being buried in London as a result. The scale of the problem is highlighted as a third of the population of England died of the plague during this time. If a person got the plague, then they would develop buboes under their armpits or groin. These swellings were incredibly painful and purple in colour. If touched, they produced a stinging sensation which went through the body. Patients would also develop a fever and chest pains. They would bleed internally, creating bruises on the skin. So whilst we know the Black Death comes from fleas, at the time there were many beliefs as to the causes. Firstly was that it was a punishment from God for the sin of the world. Others blamed the alignment of the planets. A more rational idea was that it was brought about by miasma from a volcano erupting. Across Europe, others found a scapegoat for the disease and blamed the Jews. This was not applicable in England, as Jews had been expelled from England in the 1200s. Treatments followed the same sort of process as cause. There were supernatural and rational ideas and common beliefs. Many people tried praying to heal themselves of the disease, and others tried balancing the humours. Many people tried to remove the miasma with strong smells such as myrrh. Ultimately, many people realised that the cures were not going to work. People tried to prevent the disease, and the main ways they tried to do this was praying and pilgrimage. Some people took advice from priests to flagellate themselves, which involved whipping themselves. Others tried to remove themselves from the towns to the countryside to get to the air and avoid the miasma, which they believed was causing the Black Death. The panic among the people forced the government to take action. Local authorities started quarantining people who had the disease, and visitors to the areas had to wait 40 days to check they did not have the Black Death. The actions, however, were limited in their effectiveness. The authorities could not enforce quarantine, and people still went about their business. Crucially, the church still operated, saying masses and preaching to the people. So in summary, the Black Death arrived in 1348, ripped through England, killing a third of the population and causing panic. People believed that it was sent by God as punishment for the world. Others blamed miasma, and some in Europe blamed the Jews. Treatments were ineffective, and attempts to prevent the disease were ultimately unsuccessful. And with that, my loyal compatriots, that was a little bit of history.